Peace to all beings. Peace to all beings. Mercy for those that don't know. Peace to all beings. Mercy. The realization is coming, entities, about the fact that you are always in the presence of God. And the realization of that is comfort to the heart and the mind. But I'm talking about the realization of it, the understanding of it, the feeling of the presence of it, the acknowledgement of the protection you're offered, the peace you're offered, and the momentous accumulation of knowledge you're being presented with. And now is your opportunity to apply that knowledge in a peaceful, conscientious manner, in a manner, so to speak, as a acknowledged divine entity that you are, without the blame, without the criticism, without the judgment. The acknowledgement of the self that you are, through the chakras, through the root, through the navel, through the solar plexus, through the heart chakra, through the throat chakra, through the sixth seal, and what beings are terming the crown, but it's much more than a crown, entities. You see it represented as a crown on the Virgin Mother's head and on the head of Jesus. That's the representation. And the representation is the acknowledgement of the, abilities within yourself to perform under the auspices of that crown that you are. Because the moment now is to acknowledge yourself as being present, alive, breathing, awareness of the space that you're in, without the necessity of influencing anyone else, without the necessity of influencing anything else. That's what's going on with your media. Everyone's trying to influence everyone. You need space, peace, and comfort, entities, and the protection of prayers. Yet people don't like to use the word, even to hear the word prayer. I don't have to pray. I can make up my own prayers. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yet the path to what you call the divine armor that you're going to begin to feel around you is a path of presence of prayer. The words given to you were for specific purposes, because there is a space between the words that the energy accumulates and comes down in the next word in the sentence. Your structures, your sentences, your paragraphs. There's a force there that's trying to, be made available to you for you to understand yourself in the presence of the divine. That's basically what it is. Yet there's another force that wants to interrupt your consciousness, thought, and the understanding of the Divine Father, the Divine Mother, the auspices and presentations that what you call the Master Christ presented. It's in the heart chakra. The heart chakra is a, we're going to call it a magnificent device under its own. Because at the base of your solar plexus, it's across your base of your breast, there's the base of a pyramid that goes up to your throat chakra to the crown. You're in the protection of the pyramidal force within your body. You don't realize that. It's a three-sided pyramid. Left side, right side, in your back, and it goes up to the crown, sixth seal. And your presence there is displayed in a manner. You're coming into a realization that you're much more than who you think you are. And that realization settles down. It is a descending force of the Master for the healing processes of the body that you have. It's including the skeleton and the flesh and the overlays that you're playing with. It's including your DNA. It's including to the molecules that are constantly moving in your body that you don't even know about yet. You're learning that you are a distinct unit within the presence of God, different from all others, yet the same. And you're practicing the presence of what is called acknowledgement of self within the divinity. Within the divinity. Within the divinity. Within the divinity of you and everything else. This is the process that's beginning this year, 2019. And you're seeing the conflicts now. You're seeing the antagonistic forces. You're witnessing the perversion that occurred in Sodom and Gomorrah. It's in your public knowledge now. You can't deny it. Well, you can deny it. You can deny it. And you think there's nothing going to be repercussions on it. You've been warned. You've been warned. The only thing that's going to protect you is prayers, the understanding of prayer, the understanding of the need for contemplation of the reason you are here. What is your real purpose? What is the true purpose of you? The purpose is the perpetuation of your genetic line. You came through your parents for a reason. You were born through your mother. No other thing, you were born through your mother. You were born with a specific sex for a specific reason. Yet your culture and your consciousness now seems to be wanting to changing that. You're changing the gifts you were giving. And that's going to create what you call the distortion and the discomfort that you're going through now. Your thought processes are not even understood to be what you understand is your world. Male and female. There's a different frequency there, entities. There's a different frequency for a reason. It's for the turning and tuning of the purposeful soul that you came to and through your parentage for the expression of self. That's what's going on now. And you've got to identify it and acknowledge your parents. That is why it has been important to acknowledge the functioning process called you. You are the ones that enticed your parents to produce you, whether you know it or not. And in that influence, you came through in what you call the understanding of the birth process, a sense of glory when you had your first breath. That was your sense of glory. That was your sense of I am. You breathed a consciousness different than from where you came from. That's why breath is so important. That's why the understanding when you breathe, you should be breathing a prayer, or at least a thankfulness of being able to breathe. A consciousness that others around you are breathing too. And where are you? And what am I doing here? And what's the purpose of this? Breathe and listen to the words from the interior portion of your soul. Not what you think you want. You've already been given everything you need. You don't understand that yet. You have the power to manifest in a moment, yet you've let that ability be taken away from you by others that are influencing you. And there are spiritual forces, powers and principalities that are what you call interfering with your ability to understand yourself. Yeah. That's why it is so important for the words to understand. Each one of you were born in a particular genetic line, yours. No one else's, yours. Those are your DNA chains that you're linked with. And they go back for eons. They go back for eons, entities, from places before this understanding of words, before the understanding of even sound, because everything before was just color, vibrational frequencies. And the interpretation became you, eventually, is what you're going through now. So you're a vibratory frequency in the moment called the orchestra of the divine. Each one of you are in a grand symphony, grand orchestra, and you're tuning your instruments so you can combine them together to create a melodic tone of peace, prosperity, protection, and joy for each and every one. And the confusion is coming from those that have this antagonistic attitude toward the divine. You're going to need to understand this thing. When you're out of your body in your dream state, you're getting the measures of what we call movement. Measures of movement. Because you remember the dreams, if you do, and some you don't. But you remember, and that's a measure of movement. It's a measure of the ability to interpret understanding self in the vehicle that you are when you're out of the vehicle. You're much more than just the human form entities. Yet the human form is a blessed form that you don't understand yet. It has the ability to move in freedom in space and time. And not many beings understand that in what we call the true sense. Your animals do. Your animals understand. And they know. And you have to learn to begin to attune with nature in these things. I am talking about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees. And you need to be thankful for these beings because they're holding space that you don't even know how to work with yet. So I'm asking you for what you call the understanding of yourself to be known. And by that I mean, whatever religion you were born in, you were born there for a reason. Not to change it, but to understand the deep significance within it, purposefully, for the protection of yourself and others in your genetic line. This is the movement of nowness that we're going through. You're going to see a lot of distortion in your media, where the world will be termed eventually called craziness. You're seeing it already. The perversion of sex, the perversion of the mental capacity to understand things, and the appreciation of your neighbors. There's an influence attacking you. There's an influence, and you have to understand what that influence it is. It isn't you, but the human consciousness accepts it because it doesn't understand itself. Humans are blessed with a certain understanding of divinity that other creatures in the galaxies don't know. They don't have the awareness of it yet. They're not, what you understand, allowed to understand it. Though you have your extraterrestrials and your ETs and your spaceships and things in this. They are basically a wall of protection from the principalities that are affecting you. You're seeing it in your skies now. You're going to have to pay attention to the sun, to the moon. You're going to have to pay attention to when the trees talk to you. You know, the trees. They modify what you call the energy of the negative influence. They ground that negative influence so it can be released, and you've got the understanding called oxygen for you to breathe. You are all in this, we're going to call it, you say it, natural environment. Yet you're becoming unnatural. You're becoming unnatural. You're no longer what you call the innocent ones. You're seeing the perversion, and you're living within it because now you have to protect yourself from it. That's why we ask for peace, protection, and joy for all beings, mercy for those that don't know. Your breath is going to begin to be understood as a divine food. Whether you breathe it through your nostrils or you inhale it through your mouth, it is a breath, what is termed life for you. And the arguments about the life are yours. You're the one that's arguing with your breath. You're the one that's, as you breathe, thinking negative thoughts. You're the one that's judging others as you breathe and seeing the production of that force, what you call the acknowledgement of it, the manifestation of it in the breath. That's why it's not prudent to talk about your neighbors, to talk about everyone else, because in the understanding of that, you're affecting yourself in the breath of it. So it's peace and mercy. Peace and mercy, particularly in these times. Your next 2 months, we call you February coming and March after January, are going to be pretty what you call dramatic entities. You're going to have to understand that it's your responsibility to control the space. And it's your responsibility to understand the nature of time. The nature of time. Everything grows up eventually. Trees grow up. Children grow up. Plants grow up. Animals grow up. It's a movement upward in the spiral of consciousness called the understanding of life everywhere. And that's the importance of being on the planet Earth in this time. It's very significant. You're going through this, how do you say, understanding of ascension, but it's really descension, because you're still here. And you're understanding the divine all around. You're understanding, beginning to understand the invisible is visible if you allow it to be shown to you. If you allow yourself to understand it, not influenced by negativity. And called by negativity, I mean the influence of anger, the influence of judgment of others, the influence of relegating yourself above others. You're not, because you're still in the same space and time. So mercy for those that don't know. I actually have already suggested prayers. I've already told you the method to do them. I've already presented the opportunities. I've already told you things. Now it's time for you to pay attention. We are through. That's my job.